and hopefully everybody can hear everything.
Hopefully.
Say something.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, it's registering on my headset, so that's good.
Well, that's good. That seems ideal.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, no, I'm listening to it.
Well, don't do that,
Yeah,
Brett.
yeah. Make sure it is muted. Yeah. I like how we are in War Machine Tactics. That's very
It's
good.
the only game that War Machine is even remotely associated with. So yeah, we get that. We're also gonna get awesome Twitch notifications telling us that people subbed this entire time.
Yeah,
So
with
this,
the default, with the little default
yeah,
sound beginning. Perfect. You
yep,
flip off your screen, it's gonna show up on there.
yep.
All right, so this is our War Machine Tactics stream. I hope you all have it installed.
Yep.
Everybody should have that installed at all times, as it is truly a masterpiece.
Indeed.
Yeah. Good times. I'm quiet. Hold on. Am I any louder?
Yeah, holy monkeys.
Okay. I definitely still... Oh, God. Stream open in too many places at once. Is that the correct amount of volume that you people want out of me? Is this what you desire? Is this quantity of volume?
Seems good to me.
Is it better or is it good? Because I have a gain knob and I can continue to twist it.
Can we all hear Brett?
I don't know, I haven't tried.
That's fair.
You're probably fine to me, but
yeah, you sound fine to me. But probably what's gonna end up happening is people are gonna say you're a little soft because that's what ends up happening all the time.
Yeah, am I soft? I can talk louder, or I can just raise the gain.
just yell at all times, please.
No, I don't want to do that.
Oh, well.
It sounds like so much fun though. Nice. Very nice.
Says Brett is quiet too, which
that's par for the course.
Yeah. I believe you can also change our volume individually on your end,
Jaden. Can I do that?
I don't know. You can do that in voice rooms in Discord.
I'm not gonna mess with it. That sounds terribly like something that might backfire horribly on us.
No, literally, you just right click on the person and there's.
Oh, I sure can. But you're both at 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I am as close to the microphone as possible.
Hey, that sounds a lot better. Or at least it sounds a lot louder.
Even more. Huzzah. I probably should add it. I like that in chat I'm the other.
Hey, at least you're not Jaden.
The other.
Who's me in chat?
I debated putting the picture of the three of us from Warfare Weekend up behind me with the circles with our names on it.
That's the one.
That would have been so good.
Yeah. That we had to send to each other.
Yes.
Who's who? Who's what? No idea.
That was great. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Here we are. Well done, team. We successfully got it online. We had numerous technical difficulties, mostly off the back of me trying to be too fancy. And
yeah.
And then Jane and I both realizing that neither of us had logged into this Twitch in like a really long time and we'd no idea how to do it. We were like, we have to change the password because it's been a really long time.
It has.
Yeah.
Well, and that wouldn't have been a problem except for Streamlabs decided to destroy itself and not let us actually use it for anything properly for a hot second there. Yep. It's good times.
Yeah, so this is kind of us, I don't know, this is kind of us just having fun, TBH. It's kind of a fun little way to kind of mix up. We were going to be doing this for the 200th episode as a way to kind of make that weird or different, but unfortunately I was not going to be available for that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, what episode it actually is depends on your meaning of that.
Yeah, this is, I think, technically 203.
Something like that, yeah. Because we had a couple unnumbered episodes for various reasons. Yeah, we're gonna make sure to have absolutely no fun. This will be extremely serious War Machine talk.
It will be mostly War Machine talk.
That's true.
I don't know if we can even promise that, to be honest, but you know.
That's true.
We'll find
The
out.
goal, the stated intent.
Yep.
More tangents.
Yeah, I don't know. So we thought we'd just kind of throw up a stream and have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Mix it up a little bit, which meant stacking on a mess of technical difficulties that we would not have normally had.
That's Twitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Basically, when I'm nice and just by myself, it's very straightforward. You just push the button, but
Yep.
there's always people.
I'm pretty sure we're contractually obligated to have Chandler start things off with "Hello, everybody."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there. We
Okay.
gotta reach the. Gotta work ourselves up to it.
Cat.
Although you all watching will not get our usual pre-recording.
That's true.
It doesn't get recorded for good reason. Yeah. Okay. 2:01.
Yeah.
All right. I'm getting up early tomorrow, so should we kick this glorious thing off?
Yep.
And I will be like keeping an eye on chat and stuff like that because we can talk to you people.
Yeah, I think all
It's an
three of us
option
will,
that's
honestly.
available to us. Yeah, I've got it up, so easy enough.
I'm deliberately not painting so I can pay attention to what people are doing.
I would have had my dog on my lap, but my wife got home, so I took her upstairs. And then Jaden would have nothing.
I mean, it's possible I'd have a toddler.
That's fair. The roughest pet of all.
I'm quite a bit
Jaden's
louder.
quite a
Okay.
bit
I
louder
can
than-
turn myself down. Wait. Hold on. I have a gain control, and I can use it too. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, turn those knobs.
How's this? Is this better?
Yeah, it's not peaking nearly as much.
Okay. This
I
is
know. I like knew you were loud, but my brain just kind of goes like,
That's standard.
"That's the volume." Yeah, I just don't even think about it, so it's just like, yeah, whatever.
I mean, to be fair,
yeah.
I'm probably actually the loudest out of the three of us.
Like on average, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until I start laughing.
Yeah,
That's true.
I can be very loud. I just
Yeah.
I'm usually not.
I let the operatic training take over a little too often sometimes.
So I
Gotta
get
be
the
heard. Gotta be heard in the cheap seats.
Mine's the army side.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Just having to learn to be a noisy fellow, as they say in the army. That is the term they use.
British Army, baby.
Yeah. Oh, you noisy fellow. Yeah. Okay. All right, we ready to start this up?
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's do the thing. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 201 of Line of Sight, my usual habit of kind of looking in random directions. Hey, everybody, my name's Chandler. I'm here with Brett and Jaden, for those of you who are listening. This one's a little bit weird. We're doing, this is actually a visual live stream. There is actually webcams and stuff like that. But there's nothing coming up on our screens. We're just having a good time, so you're not going to really miss anything. Anyway, say hi, Jaden.
Hi.
Say hi, Brett.
Hi.
Nice.
Hi.
We did it.
Hi, chat.
Yeah, we are listed as being on Twitch for War Machine Tactics because that is the only War Machine thing you can put yourself on. And I don't know what to tell you.
Hi guys.
I will assume that, and really we wanted to dig into that, like, really extreme number of people playing War Machine Tactics and just dive into it and
Yep.
be a part
We're
of that.
stealing their
registering
audience?
Twitch. Yeah, we're stealing the War Machine Tactics audience. Just jumping in there and
Yep.
snagging it. Yeah, good times. News. We did all this prep and I didn't look up any news whatsoever. So
There isn't any, right?
Privacy
I
Press
do
was
know,
snowed
I-
in this week.
Yeah, so I was about to say, I do know one thing is that people who backed the Iron Kingdoms Kickstarter, that poor project is just cursed, and the trucks got snowed in basically, so everything has slowed down even further.
I mean,
So
I'm 100 miles away on the other side of the mountains, and we got 5 inches of snow today, and it's 14 degrees outside right now. So,
yeah,
yep.
good times.
I finished the Crucible Guard paths in Fallen Corvus.
Nice.
Very nice.
I finished 148 points of Crucible Guard this month.
Oh my god.
I'm trying to get to 220 because that's both of my lists. We'll see if it happens.
Is that a point a day?
I mean, it's like many points a day. It's like 7 points a day or something like that.
Glorious.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if this is a War Machine Tactics playthrough. I kind of want to do a War Machine Tactics playthrough now.
We
I would
could.
totally do that. I actually like the campaign a lot. The game's jank as shit, but the campaign is fun.
It's true. Yeah. We could do the thing where like you're playing and I can yell at you to do other things, and then the UI can make you not do those things, and then the game will crash and we'll reboot it and start over.
Sick.
Yep.
Excellent. We did it. Yeah. Otherwise, there's not really a whole lot else going on, I don't think. With us, we did redesign the website, which
We did
was
actually,
great.
yeah.
So if you check out loswarmachine.com, it's much simpler. It's less
OBS
of just-
okay?
Yep. I
don't know.
should be audible. OBS as I am.
Yeah.
I lost everyone. What?
Don't worry about it. Somebody had. It's an
Okay,
individual
cool.
problem, it sounds like.
Okay. And
Brawl Machine update's coming out next Friday.
Nice. Good time.
Should we give some spoilers? Because I can tell you what's going to happen right now.
sure.
Sure.
Cool. We're banning Death Jev. We're banning Kalissa. These all make me very sad, by the way. We're not taking anything off the Epic list. And I actually think... Oh, and we're banning Mechanolith. And
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
really?
that's it.
I wasn't expecting that.
I have been convinced by the Blightbringers Discord and some battle reports that they've done on the slide. Yeah, she just kills casters way too reliably. So...
She is very murder.
Yeah. And then we are Singularity is rotating so that there's like objectives on the top and the horizontal rectangle zone, and Asteroids is losing the middle flag. Thyra is going to stay on the watch list. If she's a huge problem at LVO, we'll do a quick patch, but she's probably okay.
Yeah, she's always kind of like she's riding that line real hard.
Yeah,
So this cast is very pro Thyra.
that's
yes,
true.
Also, yeah, we're just trying to keep her. We're biased as hell.
Just
Sorry.
a bit.
I don't know what to tell you.
No,
Yeah.
basically all of the feedback I've gotten has been like she's okay. It's really hard to keep her near daughters and also scenario relevant because daughters are like half your points almost in Brawl Machine. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Otherwise, that's probably about it. We've had some kind of articles. Obviously, it's been a little slower even for us just over the last couple of weeks, just because the nature of holiday season stuff like that. I haven't written as much stuff.
I've written some
been
battle
busy.
reports.
You have, yeah. You've been doing the battle reports. I've had a couple of things through Conquest. I've had a couple of guest articles on Conquest as well,
Mhm.
which has been great. And we've had like a remarkable amount of support through our affiliate code on that.
Yeah, it's been really
Really
you.
crazy.
Crazy.
Like, yeah, thanks. That's awesome. It's been super cool.
I'm going to be
yeah.
doing some painting tutorials. I got some Artist Opus dry brushes that they kindly sent me. I took some unboxing pictures of that. And
Nice.
I'm going to be using this meaty thing to show how to dry brush a model. Isn't it just wonderful? Look at how huge this thing is.
I had a couple of locals pick up Apex Predators, and
Mhm.
we haven't seen them in the store yet. But I'm just
Mhm.
waiting for them to show up. It's gonna be good.
So
Yeah.
good.
It's
I love
pretty.
this model. Yeah, this is what my orcs are going to look like. They're all like...
Dragon, it is being recorded. Nobody else is having the problem, so it might just be a.
Well, I mean, my internet's gonna go out soon, so.
Oh, there you go. Cool. All right. So as far as what we're actually talking about today, Jaden, do you want to kind of word it out? I think you'll articulate. it
Yeah,
better than me.
so we're going to basically take a trip through memory lane and have a look back at how we got into the game and what we've done since then. And it's going to be long and rambly and delightfully awesome and terrible at the same time.
Yeah, glorious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think most of us have kind of done this on some level at some point throughout the cast and stuff, but
I mean,
like
200
getting it in one
episodes is
place.
a good time to retrospect, right?
yeah, for
Little
sure.
bit.
Obviously,
Almost
things have
5
kinda
years worth of episodes.
Things
Mhm.
have kind of changed over time. So I don't know. What do we?
We could do it by
What do we-
year.
Well, so I had a couple of like points. So like,
Sure.
what is how did you first hear about the game, and what is the caster and list that first got you into the game?
Mm.
Okay. We'll do it in an actual formatted structure. This is nonsense. I'm not into it. Mine's pretty easy actually. I had been like intensely interested in miniatures games for a very long time, but I had no idea how to kind of like jump into them. It was actually originally it's a really long time ago, like junior high, maybe high school somewhere, that a friend of mine showed me his brother's like Lord of the Rings miniatures game thing, and he kind of showed me how to play it a little bit. We played it one time, and I was just like fascinated with miniatures games as a concept for a really long time after that. And but I wasn't really able to get into it until I was at the Defense Language Institute in Monterey, and I had some money, and
The trick.
yeah, yeah, and I went by a local store because I was like, well, I guess people play is 40K, right? We just lost Jaden's webcam.
Yeah, I lost all of your guys'
But it's like, yeah,
webcams.
the miniatures game that people play is
What on earth just happened? 1 second. Do. Okay, so hopefully you guys can still hear me. You should still be able to hear me. And we're gonna get everybody reconnected. No, yeah, you should still. Yeah, you can still hear me. Cool. So what's going on here? Okay, cool. 1 sec. I'm gonna pan this out to the intermission thing, and I'll be right back.
that it's like the miniatures game that people play, right, is 40K. So I went and checked that out, and I think I had originally looked into like Blood Angels or something. So it's like I'm holding on. They say they can hear us, so I don't know. Yeah, that's what the chat says. It's fine. Okay, I'm holding. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. We
I
see
can hear you.
all. Excellent, you're here. Okay, you're here. We're good. As long as the audio's there, we're good. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, I was at the Defense Language Institute, and I was like, well, people play 40K, so I will go check out some Warhammer 40,000. And I bought it had to be like $600 in like Blood Angels stuff or something, and walked into a store and found some guy, and I was like, can you demo me a game? And he basically just like seemed frustrated that I didn't know the rules already, wrecked my shit, and then told me about why my list was bad, basically. I was like,
Oh, good. One of
Wow, that's
those.
a classic experience.
yeah. I was like,
Yep.
okay.
Super good.
I never went in again, but I actually remember when I was there at this store in Monterey, California, there was a couple of people playing War Machine, and I vaguely remember that they had like a few Warjacks on the table, and like that was it. I don't know what they were doing. And I literally my head space was like, that's some other weird game, whatever. And it wasn't until I got home from the Language Institute, and a friend of mine, a very very good old friend of mine, was like, "Hey, I have this game I want to show you. Like, come over to my place." So I went to his house, sat down at his kitchen table, and he had basically like a Khador battle box, and then like Sorsha 2 and a couple other heavies, and so we just kind of made two weird battle boxes out of that, and he just kind of showed me how the game worked.
Nice.
And that's what introduced me to it. And then the 2 points when I realized that this was something that I wanted to spend a lot of time with was when I first picked up Morton Ebra 1.
Yep.
She was my like, oh,
Wait, 2 out of 3 of us started with Crix?
Yep.
yeah.
Wow.
And it was just like just doing stuff like using Overrun to do all kinds of movement shenanigans. I was like, this is really interesting. I actually won a lot of really early games, even against like somewhat more experienced people, because I'd be like, well, Overrun on Deathjack, and he goes this many inches, and then he tramples over your caster, and then he has 360 vision, so he'll just buy attacks until you're dead.
Yep.
Like I won a number of games that way. And then I was like, well, I kind of want to figure out how Hordes works, so I picked up the I believe it was like the circle half of the 2-player starter that had the Skinwalkers, Kaya, and some Warbeasts. And I played her, and I was like, well, this is just like playing War Ember all the time.
It's true.
And that kind of turned into me getting really into Circle at the time. It's just like, oh, this is just like Crix doesn't really have a lot of these weird movement shenanigans. They kind of just had Morton Ebra. She was the weird movement shenanigan caster for like Warjacks and stuff. Circle, it was like it's every caster. I was like, oh, okay, it's just built into your army. I was like, all right, I'm into that.
Rip.
Yeah,
Not
that's pretty
anymore.
much me. Not no. it has changed. Yep. Who's next? Who's up?
I guess I am.
I guess you are.
So I moved to Utah for college when I was 18, and I played Magic the Gathering fairly competitively. And myself and one other guy realized that I was good enough that if he sponsored my entrance fee to events, he would probably get prizes back that were worth more than whatever the entrance fee was, like more than half the time. And that was Jeremy. And he did that repeatedly for me. So like he'd pay for my buy-in for the team tournament as long as I was on his team for like the sealed tournament at pre-releases or whatever. And then we'd win the whole thing, and he'd get like a box worth of crap for my entrance fee, basically. And one of the Friday nights, he was playing War Machine, and I was like, "What are you doing, dude?" He's like, "Well, you should try this game out." It's like, "Okay, I'm poor." He's like, "Yeah, whatever, we'll figure it out." So I did a battle box after the Friday Night Magic, and I got to arc something terrible with Denegra at Kaelissa, and I still lost the game because I didn't understand what I was doing, and it was like 1:30 in the morning. But then I basically just it had been right before that was the rotation of Ravnica returns to whatever the set after that was, and normally I just traded on all my cards to the store right before the set rotation happened, and then got all my monies out. But I had the flu, and I did not do that time. So my collection went from like 12 grand to like 3 grand in about 24 hours, and I was pretty done with that. So I threw all of my cards at the store owner and picked up Crix and Terminus, and then I also won a lot of really early games by just sticking Terminus in places and saying, "Can you kill him with your Warjack or your Warbeast?" And the answer was usually no. So I actually won the first tournament I ever played in because at that point casters could contest, and Terminus just marched up the board and was like, "You want to kill me? You gonna try and kill me? Oh, you tried. That's cute. I kill you now." And
yeah,
yep.
Terminus did the thing that Terminus is pretending he's able to do.
Yeah, he's a shadow of his former self.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's true.
Well, I like that the caster I started with has gotten better since then.
Who did you start with, Brett?
So let me start with the whole story.
Okay.
I'd played 40K since high school. I saw my friend playing Imperial Guard. I'm like, oh, I want to play a shooty list. For some reason, I thought I liked playing gun lines. And so he's like, oh, you should play Tau. And if that's not the worst fucking advice to have given someone in what is it, 4th edition 40K, I don't know what is. So I played it for probably like 6 years, and lost most games, I would say.
Yeah.
Oh, good. It was worse after that. Oh, awesome. Fantastic. But for some reason I kept playing. And then I went to Adepticon, and we did a team tournament, and that was a lot of fun, except that, like, you know, in the last round of the losers bracket, people were getting belligerent, and that was probably the worst game of any game I've ever had the pleasure of playing. I'm like, I need to do something else. So I graduated college, and I'm like, I'm gonna have bachelor money. I'm gonna have actual money, and so I picked out 3 different tabletop games to play, and I think I bought into all of them. I at least demoed all of them. And they were Infinity, Malifaux, and War Machine. And I managed to pick, again, I'm really good at this, the absolute worst faction, Infinity. So I did not have any fun with that. That was JSA. In that was
They
first
look the
edition.
coolest, though. Let's be real.
They do look the coolest. That's how they got me. but yeah, when I came back to Infinity like an edition later, my friend's like, "Oh yeah, that was like playing Rulik in Mark II." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that. I thought the game was just terrible."
Nice.
I don't know why I bounced. I don't think I did bounce off Malifaux. There just wasn't a community, and then I played War Machine. I loved it. And for all the reasons we talked about last week,
Yep.
I let's see. So I really enjoy in role-playing games crit specs. So like being really focused on critical effects, which is hilarious because modern me is like critical effects are the worst game design I've ever seen in my life, but I love them. And so I got Ashlyn and everyone who had a critical effect that she could take. So Forge Guard, Gun Mages, the Mule,
Yep.
and I played that up until I ran to Gatsby 2, and then I put that straight in the garbage.
Gatsby 2 was, yeah, he was sort of that caster for a lot of things in Mark II, where it's like, can you beat me? No, well, you might as well not exist, as far as like competitive pairings goes.
But I would argue Ashlyn one's in a much better place now than she was then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She's really good now.
Yeah. Was Mercs also the worst faction at that point in Mark II?
No, it was Minions.
Oh, it was Minions. You're right. Minions was much worse. Good. Maybe that's why I stuck with War Machine.
You picked the second worst faction?
Yeah.
That's what did it.
Nice. Sweet.
Funny.
So then Chandler brought this up already. I was going to ask, what was the event that made you switch armies the first time, where you knew you wanted to keep playing War Machine, you wanted to stay invested, and what was the first step you took into doing that?
Well, Chandler already went, so, or maybe he didn't. I'll go while Chandler's thinking.
Sure, yeah.
So I finished painting all of my cricks, and I was working at a summer camp, and I didn't have anything to do because I didn't have anything to do. And I got bored, and somebody recommended Bartertown to me, and
What a monster.
I know, right? Bartertown's like the worst thing ever. And oh, that's my wife trolling everybody. Excellent. So I was like, you know what? I bet I could trade all this cricks for like some circle stuff, because one of the local guys had played circle, and I had been really jealous of Warpole Stalkers because they looked really cool, and I could never kill them fast enough for it to matter. And also Shifting Stones back in the day, those were sweet. Those were really sweet. So I traded in.
They were sweet for the circle players.
Yes. I wanted to be on that side of the things. Also, part of it was that I was playing Crix, and so I had literally no way to kill the Shifting Stones before they did the thing that they were going to do. Aside from like, here's my arc node. I'm going to arc spells at that one stone and hope it kills it.
Probably not kill it.
And
yeah.
probably not kill it. So yeah, I just traded it off. And then honestly, after that, it just sort of spiraled out of control, and I just kept trading
I like that
armies.
Your first army change story is exactly the same as your most recent army change story.
Yeah,
I painted it all, and then I traded it.
Yeah, it's 100% how it worked. And continues to work. Hold on, has that ever not been the case? No, that's exactly how it always goes. I finish painting something, and then I get bored of it, and I trade it away. Yep.
There you go.
Thanks, Richard. No, my trolls aren't fully painted, but I've also painted trolls 4 times. No, you didn't. Anyway, Brett, how about you?
So I previewed this. I went to again Adepticon actually, and was having fun with my Ashen list. I think it was a hardcore event, and ran into Gatsby 2, and I walked away understanding that Ashlyn would never beat that list for completely the wrong reason.
Oh?
So if you've played Mark II Gatsby 2, you
Mm-hmm.
know that someone taking Gun Mages and Forge Guard are going to lose all of them to Biothralls.
Yes.
That's not what happened.
What happened?
was he put up 4 Caustic Mists, and I'm like, well, this mule isn't going to do much. So I came to the conclusion that I need to run a a list that had heavies in it, and thank God I picked Circle. like any other choice would have been a disaster. I guess
Legion would have been fine. Yeah.
yeah, but
Or
any other choice
Protectorate.
would have been a disaster.
Protectorate would have been okay.
That's true. And then, so yeah, I love that all three of us switched to Circle second. I didn't realize that.
That is funny.
I mean, that seems like maybe the most important thing that we share. No.
That's true, and also, I mean, the fact that we love Circle, we love the way Circle plays, and what that's like in War Machine is why we keep coming back to the game, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. So, yeah, nice. What's the first list you ever played that won an event?
Oh. mine's not good. I couldn't tell you the exact list because it was kind of a weird event. But I was actually playing Minions. I was playing Mark II Pharaoh.
Yep.
Oh my god.
So we did a local escalation tournament where you started out at like 15 points or something and worked your way up to a 50-point game over the course of the round. So each round your list would be slightly larger. You'd have to add to it. It's kind of a cool little event. But I took Carver because I had just picked him up because I was like, I don't know, these are kind of cool. And I went in and was like, I mean, this is not going to go well. I'm playing Carver with like, I mean, I was going to say with not good models, but it was Mark II Pharaoh. Everything was pretty bad. And, but what happened was like almost every person at that event was like, you know what would be sick? A really slow armor brick. And do you want to know what Carver really wants to fight?
Really, really
like,
slow armor bricks.
It's just slow armor bricks. They're just like all I got is defensiveness, and I was like, well, I can handle that. That's the one thing I can do. The only list that was like not that was a Signar list, which like you're dropping into like Mark II Signar. I'm like, well, I'm gonna get wrecked. And it was like Kane 2 or something. And I won on Incursion because this is back when you could still tough while you were knocked down. So Rorsch just toughed like 6 times in a row. Just didn't care. This actually happened multiple times this event. I got through some really interesting lists. There was like somebody played Ammon with a whole bunch of what are they called? Vigilance, the little double shield lights. That was actually a pretty brutal game. I had the finals game was against Orca 2. I think he was like super new. Yeah, he was like brand new, and he had like a Mountain King and Mulg in that list, and I had a single Brigand with Quagmire on it touch both Mulg and the Mountain King and tough 5 times in a row.
As you do.
Like it just literally like if you want to know why I always say like you have to get lucky to run events, because my literal first event, this is how it went. It was just a lot of this stuff of just like, yep, that's definitely a normal way to win. Yep.
Nice.
That's how you win games. 100%. Yeah. And yeah, that was the first tournament I ever won.
Kilala Nemo 2 has the special rock base thing. In case you were curious, nobody's answered you in the chat.
His horse is breaking his legs on the wall.
Yes, that's that one. Yep. I first won an event with Terminus, like a month after I started playing, and I don't remember most of the games except for the one against Retribution because Jeremy was very upset afterwards. He sent like a Banshee and a Phoenix into Terminus and proceeded to lose both of them after that.
Mat 6, baby.
Mat 6, yeah, and basically what it ended up being is like I played this really terrible list comprised of every model that I owned. So it was like, here's a unit of Mechanothralls, here's a unit of Bane Thralls, here's like a Slayer and a Deathjack and 2 Arc Nodes and what did I have for solos? Like a Pistol Wraith. I had 1 Pistol Wraith, and then I got through the event, and like Chuck, the guy who ran events at Game Den, was like, "What'd you play? Like you did really well." I was like, "So here's my list." He's like, "Where's your Warwitch sirens? What's a Warwitch siren?" It's like, "Oh man, we got to work
Oh,
on this."
I'm about to make 2 sales.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So.
That's funny.
Okay, so I don't have a strict memory of what my first win was, but I do have a very early win that I think was really funny. Um, we were tired of people talking about how models were terrible and could never win.
Mhm.
So we did a first of the worst tournament where we went through the Prep to Press forums and got the 3 worst casters of every faction according to the forums, and you were only allowed to play those casters. And then I did an additional prop bet of if you also brought one of the 3 worst units according to the forums, then you would get an additional prize. So I brought Kyle 1 with druids.
Yep.
And I don't think the druids were the worst one. I think it was like I had to bring like a wild Argus. They weren't called wild Argus then. But
Yeah, it was just
or
Argus.
something like maybe a goat. So it was like I just brought a war beast, and I remember playing the games. And it's like, oh, well, this list can't deal with the stealth the stealth cloud wall. This list can't deal with the stealth cloud wall, and this list can't deal with the stealth cloud wall. And so I won the prop bet that I set up, thereby winning the first ever Brett Fogel Award for Brett Fogel Excellence.
Perfect. Is it the Brant Fogwell Award now?
So this became a running joke, and for my bachelor party, someone made a trophy with my face on it.
Perfect.
Nice. Very nice. Let's see. What's the first convention you went to?
Warfare Weekend or War Machine Weekend at the time. It's I actually still every time I go into War Machine Weekend or Warfare Weekend, it's always been the same venue for me. It's the first year I went was when they changed venues.
Mhm.
So it's really funny because I think back a lot on like how it felt then versus now. It's really different because I didn't know anybody. Like literally, there was like a guy who I had seen play at Salt Lake once who was there, and then like the Chain Attack guys were there, and I had some experience with them because they spent time in because we did a lot of like Idaho and Utah did a lot of events together.
Mhm.
But beyond that, it was like I don't know anybody. So it was literally just me like walking around like I'll do some scrambles, I guess. Like I don't know anybody here, and I go there now, and it's like everybody.
Yeah.
Like
Well, everybody knows your voice anyways.
yeah, well, but even beyond that, like even beyond just my like podcasting and stuff, it's just like you see these people at conventions. Like a lot of the people who do the convention circuit are kind of the same people. There's definitely different people from some events to another, but there's just kind of that family of people that you see all the time. That you can kind of go into any convention and be like, well, I'll know a handful of people at least.
Yeah. I remember you coming back from that because that was the Warfare Weekend right after I met you, right? And you were hyped out of your mind. You came back and you're like, I did this thing and I saw this list and I want to try this thing out and this and this and this. And you played War Machine until like 1:30 in the morning until like Chuck kicked us out that particular evening. He's like, Chandler, we're not doing any more games. Get out before I break your stuff.
Yeah, man, I'm an endurance grinder. I want to. Yeah, that's what I like to do. I don't know.
Yeah, it's good times.
Yeah, for sure.
My first con was the following year's Lock and Load, where you and Ben came to pick me up, and we did that adventure. Yeah, it was interesting. I had never been to a convention. I didn't know what to expect, and it kind of set an expectation for conventions that has never quite been met because that hall was freaking packed. Iron Arena legitimately just played all night, like never stopped. Yeah. Jeremy played 31 games in like 22 hours.
he won like half the Iron Arena table on his own.
He really, really, really wanted the super high end Retribution thingamabobber, and to get it, he was like, "All right, I'm
He
starting
played,
now.
like, so this is a guy who like plays pretty much solely like competitive 1v1 War Machine. He was playing like a 2v2 like 130-point game at like 1 in the morning because it was like, well, it's worth more points. So I was just like, Jesus, Jeremy. Like,
He would also do things where he would play multiple games at once.
yes,
Just because
yeah,
he was like,
yep.
I gotta get the
Yeah,
games in. I gotta. Yeah.
So he's who introduced the 1 game per hour rule.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
is there?
There's people like, yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Jeremy pushed that system to its absolute limit.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah. It was a pretty cool event. I don't think I actually joined any of the tournaments because I didn't know what I was doing. But,
Mhm.
you know, it was fun to go and to play, and yeah. Playing 2 games at once is really hard because
So sorry. So that's he's a local man. He's referring to a tournament I played where we had 7 people show up, and so I had 2 lists. I'm like, okay, I'll play 1 game with each of my lists, and this is when I was practicing Malak and Arcadius.
okay.
And so we I win my first games, then I win my second games, or no, it was a 3-round event. So I win my first game, so I'm playing against this guy and one other guy. He's like, we can't do this, right? This can't be how it goes. And so I win those games. And I'm like, well, I'm the finals. Now what?
What did they do about that then?
So that's when we changed the reward structure. so that people were like, we're not just subsidizing Brett's War Machine habit.
Nice. Yeah, at LVO the first year I helped out with that. Actually, no, you know what? LVO was my first con. Lock-in was my second one because we drove down together. I forgot about that. It was I just thought it was the next year. But yeah, okay, so LVO was my first one. Also hard to beat. I played because I was the scramble runner for the Iron Arena. I ended up playing in 3 separate scrambles at the same time to fill in the 8th person. I was like sprinting back and forth across this giant convention hall, and Tyson's like, "What are you doing, Jade?" And I'm like, "Gotta play my turn. Gotta play my turn." He's like, "You're running the event." I know. Yeah, it's good times.
So I talked about my first con. It was Adepticon. I want to talk about I think it was the second one because it was also Adepticon in the next year, and I brought Morvana 2, and this is a great nostalgic memory, is that I was playing against JVM, and I did the trick that Colin taught me, where you transfer every time you roll 3 damage on the reroll. And Jake's like, there's no fucking way it works that way. So he calls the judge, and DC, the lead designer of War Machine at the time, walks up. I'm like, we explain the situation. He looks at the card. He looks at me. He looks at the card, and he looks up at me with this look in his eye, like, I hate you so much. And he's like, I guess it works that way. And I walked away.
Nice.
And I'll take that memory with me to my grave.
Very nice. Yeah, you're the reason that her feat or her thing now reads "This damage can't be transferred," aren't you?
I mean, I didn't come up with it, but yes.
Great.
So, do you guys have a memory of like a first like big tournament you won, like where you realized you were a contender?
Yes, actually, I do. The second lock and load I went to, I was playing Troll. So this was Mark III launch lock and load actually. We were playing Mark II, and I won all of my day 1 games, and then I made some changes to my lists based on some advice from Chain Attack Jay. And I took Horthel out of one of my lists and I stuck him in my other list because character restrictions were a thing.
Character restrictions, the best rule ever.
It's so good. And I won my first game, and then my second game I got paired into JVM, and I'm up 4-0 on scenario. And it's JVM's turn. He's trying to figure out what to do. Madrak is completely safe. This was back when like Digme's plus Pendrake plus Madrak 2 plus all of this nonsense was a thing. And I'm scrolling through War.
Just as unkillable as he was the last time.
Mm-hmm.
There he is now.
Yep. And I'm scrolling through War Room, and I'm like, wait a minute. Horthel is not in this list anymore. And so I called a judge over, and I explained the situation. And he's like, well, what are you gonna do about it? I was like, well, I guess I'm conceding then, aren't I? And he's like, unless Jake is okay with you taking him off the table and continuing the game. Jake's like, nah, this has been an important piece in the game. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm conceding. And then Jake went on to win the entire thing, and I was like, well, dang it, I had him on the ropes, and and he won. I was like, okay, maybe I can actually do this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. Goodness. I mean, for me, it was probably when I took top 8 at LVO the first time. And that was the game I met and then beat Brandon Owens, which like that's one of those things where like you walk in and you're like, this is a player who I know about, right? I know this person. And like was able to win that game with some weird shit too.
Sounds like you. Yep.
Yep. And ended up like with a really good placing there, and I was kind of like, all right, I can do this, right? Like it.
That was the event where we all got knocked out by the same list.
Yes, that was when it was Keith, right? He just that was the Gatsby 9 Slayers time. Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Oh.
yeah,
I also got it.
Yeah, all three of us lost to that.
No, all three of us went through that same.
I lost.
What rule did I get changed that year?
15 seconds for the turn.
Yeah, minimum amount of time your turn.
Yep. Good times. And then obviously, like, I mean, the largest event I actually took first in was Rocky Mountain Rumble, which was really awesome, and that was one of the very few times I've used some pretty meta stuff.
Hey man, we worked hard on those lists.
We did, but they were they were fairly cutting edge rather than being a little more dark horse than I usually go for.
It was Scorn. It was still dark horse. Let's be real.
Oh,
they were right on that edge of kind of.
Was it Mark II Scorn?
No. This was Rasheth.
This was the Rasheth Zal 2. Like,
oh, okay.
Oh God, why are there so many huge bases? Like, thing. Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, it was back in Mark II. I had been tinkering with a Kruger 2 list forever. It started with it started with Blood Trackers, and I hated those. I changed them to Wold Watchers. And I changed them to Druids and Blood Weavers. And it felt so good to play the Druid and Bloodweaver list, because people would look at this list like, this is the worst fucking list I've ever seen in my life. And so, in the tournament I'm thinking of, I played against 4 different Haley 2 Stormwall lists.
Yeah.
At which point they're like, what does a Bloodweaver do? And I'm like, okay, well, it's going to get TK'd, it's going to walk 7 inches, it's going to knock Arcane Shield off your Stormwall, and then you're going to lose the game. And I did that 4 times in a row against increasingly better players. Then I get into the finals, and I have a meltdown. This is still my high anxiety phase. When they specifically come up to tell me that, so I knew that my opponent was qualified. So I qualified for the Invitational. So I'm like, oh my God, I did it! I qualified. And then the TO's like, yeah, we're not doing top tables. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fucking murder you.
Yeah.
So, fortunately, he was list locked into Calandra. I think it was EE. It must have been. There were a lot of lights, and because list lock is again the best rule. And so I'm like, oh God. Normally I drop my other list. I think it was like a Chromac. Oh God. Didn't need that webcam anyways. So I normally drop my other list in trolls, but they're like, it's Calandra. It's a gun line. I'm like, so? It's like, drop Kruger. and so I drop Kruger, and that list does nothing to Kruger 2.
Range 3 guns. Ah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The biggest threat was definitely the Winter Troll. The Winter Troll totally killed the model.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
Nice. Brutal.
Good job, Winter Troll.
And so that was the first time I called for the Invitational. It was pretty sweet.
Nice. Yeah, Angry Mohawk. That Rocky Mountain Rumble, I played Zealous in the finals. It was an awesome game. My main memory actually of Rocky Mountain Rumble, aside from like the games being really good, was that it was like 90 something degrees in the venue, and literally Friday night. No, it was because it went through. It went Saturday to Sunday. Saturday night, after the day of all the games, I went to Walmart and bought like shorts and like a tank top and like thinner socks. And like I went and bought an entire outfit of cooler clothes because it was so goddamn hot in that venue. I was dripping sweat into my eyes like the whole day, because I get really warm when I'm playing War Machine anyway. Like I tend to sweat even in like kind of normal temperatures, and so it was bad. But yeah, I played against Zealous. He was playing Morvana 1. When everybody suddenly realized she was like real gnarly, and she got like, was it mortality and all that stuff, and it's like, wow, her blood pack are gross actually. Who would have thought? Yeah, that was a good event. It's good times.
Kruger 2, by the way, is insane into Iron Fang Pikeman. They do not like him at all.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't understand
yeah.
the reference.
I don't, or is what?
I don't understand the reference.
I don't either. But I'm assuming it was an honest question.
It reminds me of a story when my friend was playing Kador in Mark II, and if you've never played Kador in Mark II, they just rolled over and died to Haley 2.
Yep, this is true.
So we got deep into the jank tank, and eventually we landed on Sorsha 2 with, I don't even know what they're called, the Horgenhole gun people.
The High Shields?
High shield, yep. Because he's like, look, they can shield wall, so they don't get killed by gun mages, and they do, insane damage on Sorsha feet turn. And he never actually proved it into a Haley 2 list, but I watched him wreck a Morton Ever player. It was not close.
Sorsha 2 used to be insanely good. I played her a lot.
Oh, while we're talking about dumb shit, do you remember playing Kruger 2 in Destruction?
No, I did not play Circle at that point. I was on the receiving end of Chandler playing Circle at that point.
It was just like, go second, they fill up the zone, you push everything out of the zone, kill the objective, and they're like, guess I run back into the zone. And then they lost.
Except for they don't run because it's Mark II, so you have a speed reduction, so you can't run. Yep, it's good times.
Yeah.
Pretty much that one always ended up being, I'm playing Haley 2, Chandler's playing Kruger 2, let's see who goes second, because that's the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
That was us. That was us a lot.
Well, you know mine. It's baiting Jaden to that 98% assassination.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you two playing against each other is just where like dice odds go to die. Like it never, like nothing ever makes sense.
No,
anymore.
it's true.
It's always
Never,
like,
ever. And it was particularly poignant because Brett and I had basically been playtesting against each other for 2.5 months, almost nightly for that.
Did we ever play the mirror? I don't think we ever played the mirror.
Mm-mm. No, we just assumed it would be Kruger.
Oh, so, I hadn't thought about it at all. You thought about it more than I.
Yeah. What is your favorite making the impossible possible story?
That's why I answered that. So keep some time.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hit and run tactics. Yeah. So Mark II Circle is basically Mark III Legion now. This is as close as you can get. I know.
Mark II Circle was excellent. Like it had the huge advantage of it had an extremely good list into the 2 dominant lists.
Mm-hmm.
Like
you know what would be
had a huge problem with Kruger 2 and Gatsby 2. Just like I lost with Cormac 1 in the Gatsby 2, but that was when Banelord Tardis just rolled up and killed 2 Warwolves.
Yes,
he could do that. Like you do, yeah. You know what would be freaking hilarious, since we're going to be videoing stuff at LVO anyway? I have War Room 1.
Oh, really?
I do. I could take a million screenshots and we could play some Mark II games and just like stick them out there.
Well, I've got minions, so I'm not down. I am not figuring
Oh
out how
crap!
Arcadia
I,
spells
I
Mark
I
II.
only have Crucible Guard, and they didn't even exist.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Menoth was
Nailed
the
it.
same though.
Protectorate has. I mean, Battle was way better. Holy crap, was
Oh,
Battle
yeah.
better?
Oh yeah, you have to find some Reckoners, Chandler.
I got Reckoners.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Everybody does. Yeah.
Yeah. Every protector player has like a drawer of like old Reckoners that's just been sitting there forever.
Richard, I would totally borrow your circle. Mark II circle was
Is
the most
that,
busted thing.
Is that like how you you open the drawer, shift aside all your Reckoners, and grab all your Vanquishers out?
Yeah, I have to get all of the Argai off of them first, and then
Yeah. Talking about other important moments in our War Machine careers, should we talk about how we met and stuff?
yeah, we can break that down a little bit.
Because you guys met
I
way before I
guess-
met you.
Yeah, so there's kind of two different starts. I guess I'm sort of the center point.
It's true.
Still
Yeah,
are.
because I met both of you in different ways and kind of brought that together. So this would go, yeah. So it's two different stories, kind of. So I guess let's have you guys do it, so I don't tell both stories. Let's do it
Okay.
that way.
So I got drawn into the whirlpool that is Emmanuel.
Yeah,
Like
good
how
at
else do you
that.
describe it?
Yeah, basically.
We had played several Bradigus versus Crix games, and I don't know, Emmanuel's Emmanuel, so he decided to do something about it, and so we started a Circle podcast, right?
Mhm.
Line, and we needed an editor, and Chandler's like, yeah, I can do that. And I think that's all the vetting we did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was Emmanuel was like, "Hey, I'm looking for somebody who can edit a podcast," and I was like, "Yeah, I've done some audio editing, like just as a hobby. Sure, I can do that, and I can talk Circle." And Emmanuel immediately spun it into this whole thing that it was like this much more complex idea than it actually was. Where he's like, "Oh, we've got this like everyman player who's like not a competitive player that we can bring in, and he'll be able to kind of like bring in that." And it's like you just bringing me on because I could edit, but it's fine.
I know what I'm about.
Yeah, I know why I'm here. Yeah, it's good times.
But we had a ton of fun with that podcast.
We did, yeah.
Well, I think that's where we got into our weird tangent analysis habit, right?
Well, yeah, like that's kind of Emmanuel's like wheelhouse, right? Is just this like time to get weird, like, but sort of conversational process, and because we got into some strange topics on Leyline, like he had like a military tactician come on at one point, and we talked about like how like actual military tactics apply to War Machine and shit like that.
That
And
was
like
when we were trying to figure out how to beat cloud walls.
yeah,
Those are,
yeah.
to this day, my favorite episode. No, my favorite episode is the Brandon episode. Those are my second and third favorite episodes we've ever done.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, like we got into some really strange stuff, and it's we just talked about Circle, and it ended up being like fairly popular for what it was.
I listened to it.
Yeah, which was it was cool. It was good times.
I have no memory of any of those episodes. What was cool about it?
Well, your guys' intro music was freaking sick.
Was that Bebop or was that?
Yeah,
It was
Bebop.
Cowboy. Yeah, that was when we used Tank and and the Trigun theme
The Trigun,
for the outro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very clearly dating us.
Yeah.
As being preteens in that Toonami era.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I started listening really after Emmanuel had already left, and it was basically just you guys and Dan. But I don't know. You guys just so like I listened to a lot of podcasts at that point because this was my like I'm in a desert of War Machine, so I'm gonna learn the game as best I can by like absorbing content.
Were you already friends with Chandler at this point? Or is this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd moved to Utah and then I'd moved home.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I listened to a ton of content, and basically what you guys had was like Muse would spend 45 minutes just talking to each other about their lives, and then they might spend 10 minutes talking about War Machine. Chain Attack was like, we're going to analyze this caster we actually know nothing about. And then we're going to talk about all the wrong reasons why we think this is good. And, you know, there were a bunch of other casts doing similar things to those two things. And then you guys were just like, all right, here's a topic. Let's go. Boom. And even though you went on like weird side tangents, you always had like this is a thing we're talking about.
Well, mostly the whole episode was the weird side tangent.
Yeah.
So it's really funny how much Leyline DNA is in line of sight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, for sure.
I hadn't thought about that.
I mean,
Yep.
two-thirds of it is, and arguably I was on 4 out of the last 6 episodes.
Are we gonna tell that story again? I love it.
We can if you want to.
So our joke has always been that that Jaden Yoko Ono Leyline, because Jaden just got into Circle. We were Chandler at least was friends with him. I don't remember if I was.
You weren't.
Okay, and so we brought him on because he likes talking about War Machine. He likes
Well,
talking
I
analytically.
also had the biggest Circle blog in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had Druid's Dice, and I was writing articles like at least one a day kind of deal.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. I had time. It was crazy.
That's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's back when we were a lot spicier back then. Yeah.
Yep.
Five fewer kids between us.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, and so we brought Jaden on a bunch, and then the podcast stopped, and so we always joke that Jaden was our Yoko Ono. He broke up the band.
Yep. Just showed up and just wrecked everything.
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I think your guys' actual mistake was inviting me and all of the other contributors that you invited on at the end into your guys' actual Leyline Facebook chat. Because you did.
Yeah.
And then they just never stopped talking. And Dan got quieter and quieter and quieter and then eventually stopped talking at all. And I honestly think that killed it more than anything I did.
Oh, I had never thought about that.
I mean, I just saw it happening and I was like, this is not you guys anymore. This is...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it really just came down to we were...
Chandler wasn't playing Circle.
Yeah, we had kind
That
of moved
too.
away from Circle.
I was still-
was a big thing.
Ride or die.
That was
Yeah.
the beginning of Mark III by that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how Brett met Chandler.
Mhm.
I met Chandler. So I moved away from Utah after the first 2 years of college, and Chandler moved back to Utah. We missed each other, basically exactly. And then there was a period of time where I was one of the admins for the Utah War Machine page because I've been one of the original people and helped set it up and everything. And Chandler was like every day, I'm looking for a game. Hey guys, I'm looking for a game. Anybody wants to play a game today? I'm looking for a game. And I was like, who is this person? And then, I was in the barren desert wasteland up here of no War Machine players at all. And eventually I moved back to Utah. And I moved back and I was posting on the page like, hey, is there anything going on? Here's when I'm moving back. And a couple people were like, well, actually, Utah Cup is the day after you move in. How do you feel about going to that? And I was like, sure. And so Chandler comes to pick me up, and I get into the car with him and 2 other people I don't know, and one other person I do know, and we drive off 2 hours north and play a bunch of games of War Machine. And as everybody knows, that's one of the best ways to kickstart a friendship, is to just drive somewhere for a freaking long time and talk about War
100%.
Machine.
Yeah.
And then after that, at the time, this is really funny to look back at, I was the least responsibility encumbered out of the play group, actually. I had a relatively easy job that was 8 to 4, and I didn't have any kids, and I didn't have anybody in my life really at all. And so Chandler would be like, hey, you want to come over and play War Machine tonight? Because, I'm not doing anything, and we just got to, pass Killian back and forth. And so we'd hold the baby and the other person take the turn, and we'd pass the baby over, and the other person would take their turn. And we just played War Machine 4 games a week outside of game night at Chandler's place on the kitchen table.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's actually, a good resource is new fathers, because they're like, well, if you can deal with the baby, I'm always free.
Yep.
Can't do anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. And, and we went to LVO, and did that together. And then I moved back up to Washington the next summer, and you guys came and got me for Lock and Load, and then we just sort of stayed in touch. And we didn't start Line of Sight that year, but we did the next year.
Because I remember I met Chandler when he brought Cormac 2 with 13R guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so actually Brett and I also met at LVO, but it was more like Chandler was talking to Brett about something, and I was like way too intimidated to come introduce myself because you were playing in day 2 with all of the other scary day 2 players who are now mostly my friends.
That was the tournament where I fixed Divide and Conquer.
You were playing Grim with a Sea King and 2 units of Croak Raiders.
Yep. You're welcome. Divide and Conquer was the worst.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it was. But yeah, you were there like very confidently like talking about advanced war machine concepts that I was just starting to scratch the edges of, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna back away slowly. I don't belong here yet.
Croak Raiders were so dumb.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
I messed up. So Chandler, talk about how we got to Line of Sight.
Yeah, so we goodness. All right, so we had finished out kind of like the tail end of our time with the ley line when we had just kind of like I had shifted off Circle. We kind of had some other ideas going on. I was also very shortly on a cast that we called Crusaders Call, where we did Protectorate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't last terribly long. I don't remember how long that was around exactly. And I actually ran a blog for a little while that was very kind of similar to Jaden's Druid's Dice, but more Protectorate focused, called Truth and Consequence, which is still up. If you search for that, you can find it.
Yeah, Druid's Dice is as well, actually.
Yeah. And I don't like I actually was looking up a picture of a Judicator, and the first thing that came up was like an old Truth and Consequence article. I was like, oh shit. So I got talking with Jaden, and we were both kind of doing like really similar stuff. But I think we were both also to a certain degree feeling a little bit of that, like the kind of I don't know, tension, I guess, that starts to come with like doing a faction specific thing for a long time. You tend to get very like you tend to start feeling like people expect that of you. There's some people who can kind of just like live under that forever. Like Drill Boss, his camera went out, and
yeah, we're not sure what's going on with his camera.
We're not sure what's going on with it.
Maybe if you like disconnected and reconnected, but that's like an entire.
Yeah. There's.
I can see my camera. Is it not coming out?
No.
The stream can't see. It hasn't for a while, but whatever. He'll figure it out eventually. There are some people who I feel like can kind of like ride that like one faction identity for like obscenely long periods of time. I am not one of those people. Like I did it with Circle for a very long time, but I just was not able to like. I mean, well, like there's people we think about when you think about Legion, you think about JVM, right? Like there's people who have just kind of played the same faction for literally forever. And so if they made content within that faction, they probably wouldn't feel too stifled by it. I don't know, maybe. But I think in our case, we were kind of like, I want to be able to do other things, but it's like every time you do anything else, you feel like you're like screwing up your content engine almost, or like disappointing people.
Yeah, that's the worst feeling, right? Where you feel like you're stuck in it, but it's not something you love anymore.
Yeah. And I got talking to Jade, and I was like, listen, like we're both doing the exact same thing, and we both have a very similar mentality. Like, why don't we just like merge the two blogs, basically? And we got talking about kind of what that would look like, and that we could run it alongside a podcast, because I had spent a long time podcasting, and he had done it with us a little bit. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do a podcast, I want to bring on Brett, because I've worked with him for a fair while, and we've got a good kind of rapport for casting. And
well, yeah, it's easy to miss how important that is, especially when you're doing over the internet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean that's why. Like, I mean, even things like, and this isn't like saying anything bad about anybody, but like even like bringing on guests and stuff like that, like it's a very different dynamic. The fact that the three of us have done this for a very long time, it makes it very smooth.
Yeah. Actually, our guests comment on that afterwards when I like talk to them about their experience, whatever. Like, you guys are really tight when you start the cast. It's like you chat, the cast starts, and you're completely different people. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Showtime,
Yeah.
baby.
You go into Showtime mode a little bit.
Yep.
And even like it is a bit of a testament, honestly, to the fact that like a lot of people don't realize that we don't live in the same place.
Yeah.
This cast is recorded remotely. None of us are in the same location, but I don't think you would know that a lot of the time unless you like had a really good ear for audio quality.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we have a good rapport, and I had worked with Brett enough that I was just like, I mean, we got to bring Brett on. And then we just started putting it together. Like I sat down with Jaden, and I went to a fugue state for like a week and came out the other end with a website. That
it was really fast. We had the name picked out in like 2 days. Vera had written the logo up like 2 or 3 hours after that. We had we worked out a deal with Broken Egg Games to sponsor us.
You talked about episode 0 where you kind of talked about like what our philosophy would be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was an important thing, was that all three of us really have spent so much time kind of interfacing with the community, and I feel like we all have different approaches, but all had a very good head for kind of like how to talk to people and communicate information like into these large public forums, because that's with any big community like that, is there's a lot of positive and a lot of very negative discussion. And
is there a lot of positive?
I mean, there is, but
it's out there.
It tends to be quieter, right? Like it's in a sense positive, is in a sense kind of neutral as far as how it's like taken, in that it's just like it's good discussion, right? Whereas then you've got the kind of loud minority of any community. And the thing is like when you look at any kind of like large community system, like take like Discord or even like Twitch channels, a lot of the time, you'll see that like the content creator involved has an enormous amount of influence over what that discussion looks like in that community and what the tone of that community is. And by kind of setting ourselves up as a big presence in the game while also really putting the effort into like supporting like positivity, even when it is in the form of like constructive criticism, and
we started the podcast right around Mark 3, right?
We started it like a year after.
Oh, a year after. Okay.
Yeah. It was the summer after Mark 3 dropped. It was post Lock and Load. We'd already done that. Because it was post Lock and Load, because I picked up Grimkin and I was like, I don't think I want to write about Circle a whole lot anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I bet that's why we were so laser focused on positivity, because the community was rioting.
It was kind of the time for it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, is that there are people who have talked about it like it's some kind of almost censorship thing. It's not really about that. It's more about your presentation, right? Like the presentation of what kind of a community you want to sort of be at the head of, and people respond to that. Like people see how you're acting and see how you're kind of interfacing with the game, and people react to that.
Energy to communities, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
and
people go to the communities that feel right. So if you like grow, that's why there's referred to it as growing communities. Like if you set the right basis, it'll attract the right people who will have conversations that people like them will join in.
Yeah, and sometimes that means banning someone from your Discord server, but that happens once in a while. But like overall, it was just about creating this kind of aura around ourselves, I guess, of just like pushing things in a positive direction.
It was setting rules for ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, we're not going to sit there and complain. We're not going to say shit is broken. We're going to say, here's how to beat it. Here's constructive things you can do.
And this is a really important thing about why I like working with these two a lot is just that we have a very all three of us have extremely different approaches to damn near everything, but are also very, very willing to hear out the other two, right? Like
and our rule has always been, we don't do something unless everyone agrees to it. Like there's lots of times where like Jade and I want to go on a rampage and Chandler's like, That's a bad idea. Do not do
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Jaden's like mad science projects that Brett's like, no, I am not getting involved with that. Yeah, I mean that kind of thing happens all the time. Like we all kind of have veto power on everything else that's going on because we're all sort of part of this. And there's no like there's really virtually no like yes manning happening in this group. It is very much like, all right, here's the thing that I would like to do. Like, is this feasible? What are the pros and cons? How might we approach that? Right. And um it's made it a very fun working environment. Like we've and that's kind of what it's turned into in some respects, is a bit of a working environment, even though it's obviously pretty casual because it's for our hobbies and stuff. But
Yeah.
um
It's also worth
but it's
noting that, like, at the beginning of this whole thing, we were so tiny. Like,
mhm.
we were just an insignificant little group of guys. There were so many War Machine podcasts. There was so much War Machine content. Like, we came in and nobody cared. Like, we got some, oh, it's so cool that the Truth and Consequence and the Druids Dice guys are doing stuff together. I'm glad they like managed to make this work. And we're just like, yeah, we totally didn't know each other at all before this. No, not at all.
Yep. Yeah, well, yeah, and that's it. It was a lot of
Well,
years of
that's what we always
little
say, right?
connections.
Is the the way to make a good podcast is to make 50 bad ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the consistency. It's just like the process of the community trust that you'll keep producing content, and if they like it and you get better at it, they'll start supporting you.
Yeah.
Drill Boss says getting excited to get an LOS die from Brett in, was that 2017? Was that 4
Yeah,
years ago?
that was-
that's about right. That would have
yeah.
been 2017 that we got that big batch of dice. So.
We it wasn't that big. It was like 60.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like crazy.
We want
Yeah.
to do more. Like we have
Yeah,
basically placed the
seriously.
order, but we just got to get the freaking business details figured out because we want to place an order of like several thousand at this point, and in order to
Yeah.
do that, we have to like get a business license.
I was laughing when we were talking about it, where we were kind of sitting there like fiddling around with it, and I was like, "There's a certain point in your life when you have like $1,000 of dice in a cart that you're like, yeah, you're like, how did it end up like this? Yeah, yeah. People have asked us since kind of late last year about like. I remember people asking about like mugs and stuff like that, and it's something. It was one. It's like the one kind of major thing for the year that we said we were going to do that we just haven't really been able to do because there was just
24 hours.
yeah, right. There was just like there's just sort of a mess of weird hurdles to get through that kind of were never able to take priority over the course of the year.
Well, and also this year's just been a disaster for me.
Right. I mean,
So-
so it was one of those things where it was just like, this takes a few more steps than we realized, and we don't really have the resources right now to take those steps. But right now, part of it, and part of we've already announced and talked a little bit about some of the plans going forward. That we've reworked the website, and that was largely in preparation for kind of some of the stuff that we've got going on. Where I mean, we're wanting to set up doing another cast that's more generalist stuff, being able to set up the website to be able to do a lot more things from like other games or other systems or other whatever it is that we're interested in at the time. I might turn part of it into a blog for my like pen and paper stuff. Like there's a lot of random little things that we can use that space for, and kind of branch out more. And so it's with that comes a lot of brainstorming, a lot of ideas, and a lot of excitement about like what kind of things we can do going forward.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be good times.
Yeah. So, quick recap: Planetsite just formed in 2017, early 2017. We exist for a while, and then we started like doing really quite well at tournaments as like a group, and that was kind of fun to see. And then when the pandemic hit, we had basically like this. How long was that
Crisis
Skype call?
moment?
Well, yeah. So I want to for a second because it's just kind of occurred to me that's a whole window of time that's actually pretty important to our little like history. Because I feel like it was kind of so like recent and such a blur that I didn't even really think about it. The COVID pandemic and a lot of the stuff that we kind of ended up doing over the course of that has kind of defined a lot of our sort of impact on the community, I feel like.
And
Uh,
certainly define what we want to do for the future.
yeah, definitely. And the couple of major things was obviously helping introduce War Table to War Machine.
Because sure
Was
as shit wasn't going to play 2 years with a Vassal.
yeah. Which I mean, obviously, like again, like I feel like people don't always realize like we did not create War Table. That's not a thing we constructed. Like that's a thing programmed by another guy. But like we brought in the idea of like, hey, can we do this with War Machine, and did a lot of kind of background legwork for getting all the numbers into it and things like that.
And I guess art.
Yeah.
I still love that story.
And we were like, hey, like let's throw this out into the community. And
oh man, that was so funny. People were like, we're just gonna keep using Vassal. Like, there's no way this is any better. 1 week later, nobody's using Vassal. Everybody's using War Table.
I think the thing that caught people's eye was not because they were going to do this, but because we said they could, was when you go, you can play this on an iPad and it works fine. Like, plays clean. Now, do a lot of people do that? Probably not.
I know
But
someone got it working on a Switch.
oh, sick. But like, we're talking that level of ease of use.
Mhm.
And when you're used to Vassal, it's like, oh, like that immediately has to raise some flags of like, really?
So, is that when we all got the game designer bug?
No.
To a degree, there was that, and then there was
Because I'd always been interested, but I never wanted to do it before then. But then, like going through that process and designing a UI and making it user friendly.
yeah, I mean, I think that was definitely part of it. And then obviously, like the other big thing is the introduction of Brawl Machine, which that was absurdly fast.
Yes.
Jade, do
like-
you want to talk about like our first conversations about it?
Yeah, so
sure.
we obviously like we had gotten into conversations before about like even in podcasts it was like, why are low point value games bad? And there were many reasons. There you go.
Yeah.
But and we just kind of talked about like what specific problems that like small point value games had, what kind of things came up all the time as being sort of problematic, what kind of restrictions we had liked or didn't like within things like leagues or.
And just like our podcast, we came up with a series of rules of what we were and weren't allowed to touch.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we went like there are some things we don't want to go near, right? Like if we're going to create a small point value game, we do not want to change the rules of models.
Mhm.
That was a really important thing, that it was like, we want this to be War Machine but smaller.
It's also worth noting that the way we went about this was very like, I don't know, us into the project. We had a Skype call at the beginning of the pandemic that lasted like 5 hours. And we were just like, we hammered out a ton of topics. Like Brawl Machine was actually like 30 minutes of discussion actually out of that massive pile of things.
Yeah.
And we took
What else did we talk about? Like narrative and
yeah. Do you want me to pull up I could pull up the document. I took notes in a Google Drive document.
Those don't go away.
Right there. Yeah.
Let me pull it up because I think it's there.
Well, yeah, anyway, while he's pulling that up, because that is interesting, but yeah, we got talking about Brawl Machine, and I think it kind of came down to one day, Jaden goes, I drew a scenario.
This was like 3 days after, by the way. It wasn't. It wasn't long.
The only thing we really had was that we wanted FA1. We were like, that kind of needs to happen.
Because one of our restrictions was we want this to be a way for new players to get into the game. And we're like,
yeah, and it was.
I hate when people buy, a bunch of Metamore.
Yeah. And then aren't able to use them because they're not great. At the time. And there's a couple other reasons too, and this decision has saved our butts so many times, and I've heard people complain about it, but like FA1 has made our lives so much easier. It future proofs so many things. There are so many models that did not have to get banned because we just made things FA1. And we don't like, it makes it so most of the time, even when some really busted shit comes out, we don't even have to look at it a lot of the time, because a lot of those things that are really, the stuff that is the most clearly broken usually is stuff you can take more than one of. And in our system, we went no. There you go. And yeah,
Yep.
we didn't. I don't think we had an epic list at the time, but I think everybody who's played in like a journeyman, like a custom journeyman league, has those like models that are just like that should be banned. And so when we did our initial testing, I think we kind of avoided some of those like really obvious ones like Butcher 3 and stuff like that. That is just kind of notoriously problematic in small point games. And Jaden was like, I drew up a scenario and we shoved it into War Table. And we're like, all right, 25 points FA1, avoid like obviously broken casters basically that like are going to be a problem and are probably going to get banned. And I don't even remember. It was like
It was
I think you
Orbits.
played. Well, yeah, but you played
Oh.
like a Chromac or something.
No, I played Karchev because we were like,
Karchev,
let's
that's what it
break
was.
this.
It was Karchev versus like Rias or
Rias.
something. Yeah, and we were just like, all right, let's. Yeah, and it was Karchev with like a bunch of jacks, and we just like put models down and had our little like literally we barely even talked about this scenario. It's like he's like I drew it and here it is. And we're like cool. And we just like played a game of 25-point War Machine with just that amount of restriction, a custom scenario, FA1, and certain casters being kind of out of the running. And proceeded to like talk about that game for like longer than it took to play the game, similar to how you would talk about like a 75-point game tactically.
Yeah, and we came back into the chat and we were like, Brett, that was so fun. We had so much fun. That was crazy. Like this happened and this happened and then this was really important and that placement was super huge. And Brett was like, this was a 25-point game?
It literally the first game we were like, we have a good system. Like this is interesting to work with. Now there's little imperfections, but like we have something really, really good to work with. We knew we had something fun. And like that scenario barely changed.
Yeah, the flags moved slightly. That's up.
Yeah, the flags moved a little bit. And like there were some things that like because we were like, oh, Karchev with just like a bunch of Khador jacks seems like a nightmare. And it's like, yeah, you can't scenario for shit, like at all.
Nope.
And that was the beginning of when we started to realize how important scenario and solos were in like early Brawl Machine stuff. And like that meta started forming as people played more and more. And it really kind of like got a life of its own in a lot of respects. We didn't have to do a lot. Like once the initial document had been put together, it kind of just did its thing.
I have the original Brawl Machine spreadsheet. Do you want me to go through this? It's really fun.
Sure.
So
you can share your screen if you want.
I could actually. I could just pull it over here, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah. I don't think there's anything incriminating on this. So yeah, this is what the original Brawl Machine thing looked like. This was it, the whole deal. Brett made up all of the other tabs here, and including he went through and like put these like watch list things, and here's some reports that we did. Look, here's the things we did.
Oh yeah, if it's filling in a spreadsheet, you know it's me.
Yep. Well, I mean, we all helped make this initial tab right here, but yeah. So goals, shorter games, similar levels of balance. Like we thought these were pipe dreams, by the way. We looked at this we looked at this
shorter
and went,
games,
ha ha ha.
45 minutes total with the full depth of a War Machine game. Similar levels of balance. No models should have a 90% win rate independent of player. Introduces steamroller mechanics for new players. That was a really big one. I don't know what this 25 points for competitive, 50 points for narrative.
Let's talk about this real fast.
Thoughts, I feel like
this was a stretch goal we had. Brawl Machine was going to be like our baseline, and then we were going to do a whole bunch of things: narrative scenarios, team rules, best of 3, sideboards, alternatives to caster destruction. Like we were playing with casters coming back onto the table. We were looking to build your own Warcaster. We were also thinking about making a monthly newsletter, like formally adopting War Table. Like these were all things that we thought we would be trying to do.
Yeah, and some of it turned into other things. Like some aspects of that build your own Warcaster sort of ended up being Fallen Corvus. And some of the stuff that we had with that.
Oh my god, click the War Table link, please.
Oh, sure. Where's it going? What do we got? Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's the actual original. Oh, it's even got the game. Oh, it's the
This is you and Brett. This is you and Brett.
Yeah.
This was Brett going, no, this can't be right. This can't be good. And then, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, this was one of our original test games when we were figuring it out.
Yeah. Actually, no, this was me. This was me and you. Yeah, I played Chromac the second game. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, look, this is how much it's changed. here's this flag at the top. It's slightly to the right. Here's this flag at the bottom. It's slightly to the left. They have moved up an inch and in an inch and a half or 2 inches or something like that. That's orbits right there. That's crazy.
And you'll notice that we didn't have the name scheme yet, which is the best part.
Yeah, I don't even remember how that happened. I think we just
Well,
ended up with
I
like,
called
two
it
names.
orbits. I called that one
you
orbits.
called it orbits. I think we ended up with like another name that was kind of spacey, and as soon as we had two, it was like, well, that's a theme.
Yep.
And so we just stuck with like space terms for like just completely arbitrarily.
Mm-hmm.
We're just like, so it's like, well, great, now every scenario has to shove its way into being this very particular kind of naming convention. But,
Man, our
yeah,
testing
no
ideas were
problem.
dumb. I'm so glad we refined this. People like,
Oh yeah, review every model in the game, mark down. Yeah.
I mean, we did do that actually. We did.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah, we did. Although that mostly kind of just turns into like scanning War Room and going, that's a problem.
Well,
Yeah.
Look,
Well, we have it right here.
I
There you
don't
go.
know, but
Watch
yeah.
list. Boom. Look at all these things. And then I went through and I was like, yeah, these are problems. And
I like the Exalt is on there because I personally hate it.
yep. Yeah, and then like our open beta idea has changed so much. Like we were like, we're just gonna send this to people and ask them to send us screenshots and like battle reports, and instead we have not done that.
The league idea.
I think it
League's
was
such a
me.
brilliant idea.
I was like, we should do this as a league. And you were like, yeah, but I'm not running it. And I was like, oh.
Okay, but I think the most important thing we need to talk about is how much of a Debbie Downer I was about this whole thing.
Yeah,
well,
you were.
I mean, that's what we keep you around for, Brett.
Oh no,
I'm like-
we were all kind of very, very convinced that this was not going anywhere. To be fair,
if we can,
Well,
if
'cause
we can
people-
push anything through Brett's filter, then it's probably good.
Well, because people build new formats for War Machine all the time, right?
Yeah, I mean that was the thing too, is that like fan formats, like the concept immediately kind of revulses me in a certain way, like of just like I don't know. I don't tend to like it very much, but that's part of why like when we went into it, we were like, let's do a real light touch, and then unfortunately that went really well, so we started doing weirder shit after that. But
yeah, I've put on the board or on the screen here the show notes for our very first episode that had Brett on it.
Oh jeez,
It is so fun looking at it. Like, look at this.
I haven't looked at this stuff in so long. All
Like-
right, introduction. Introduce Brett,
Yep.
because nobody knows who Brett is. News, faction. Oh god, this is when they announced that there'd
Yep.
be a faction every
Mhm.
year.
Oh, we still were excited about Company of Iron.
Yep.
This is back. This is back when we actually did these for podcasts.
Hey, hold on a second. We did that all the way to episode 156. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we got a lot looser over time. Now if you do kind of a quick scroll, you can see we've got show notes for like a lot of podcasts on
Yeah,
a
hold on, let me
single
do that.
sheet.
Here is 156, 154. Okay, we didn't plan that one. And then these are the ones that we did at the beginning of this year, where we brought in all the people that are
All the people, yeah.
content creators, all the way back. 132,
And
129.
now they know which ones we didn't prepare for.
Yes, these are going real fast though, so whatever. Yeah, like look at this. They just go all the way back. We've got all these things. Man, this would be really fun to like compile at some point and just have for fun.
Yeah.
Some of these also like Chandler deleted and put like just copied stuff over because we were being lazy.
Oh
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Remember Rule of the Week?
Yep. Yeah,
Uh-huh,
look at
yeah.
episode 1. Rule of the week. Slams, throws, collateral damage. Talk about faction of a year, playing in a CID world, how to focus your practice, how to make sure your meta doesn't fracture, sign out, check us out. Here's man, our end of things are so short. lswarpsheet.com. Here's our Twitter things. Here's our Facebook page. Here's our Patreon. And Brett's note. Do I have to start checking that again?
How do you know
So-
that's me?
Brett, who else would it be? I made this
Alright.
Twitter account for this, okay? And also, like, here's our philosophy thing that we made up before we even started.
Okay, yeah, this is so important.
Yeah, like, here's our philosophy.
That one's me. That last one's me.
Oh, the last bit. No, go down. Go down. Scroll down a little bit. There it is. Nobody fucking cares which game is best. I like War Machine and StarCraft and HOTS. And if you enjoy another game, great. Yeah.
Oh man, look at this. Should we talk about community building at all? That's kind of like all that we do now.
How to treat new players. Yeah.
Yeah. We should explain what we mean by topic driven. Yeah, Brett, you were so concerned about this podcast. Like Chandler and I built a lot of this, and you were like, "But what about this? Well, what about this? What if we didn't think about this?" This is like a lot of Brett going, "Wait, what about this being bad?" That's really fun. Here's Brett's solo episode. Right here. I forget these exist. Feral Guys, Swamp. Okay, hold on. Have these aged badly? Feral Guys have aged badly. Swamp Copper River Raiders have aged badly. Gudrun's aged badly.
Jumped up like 2 tiers.
Yeah. Okay, the rest of those are still bad. Totem Hunter. I think Totem Hunter's good now. Gatorman Husk. Okay, fair enough.
Gatorman Husk.
Okay, Throg jumped up a ton. Throg jumped up a ton.
Already.
Yeah. The rest of these, Eilish Garrity dropped a tier probably. So did Orin.
Yeah.
And Lanissa. And there's still there's no Hermit. Quax's Spine and Glove, Attorneys at Law. That's where that came from. This episode, I'm pretty sure that's where that happened.
No.
No, that was really early on. Yeah, that was like when they released pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, hey.
Oh, hey. There we are.
Okay, hold on a sec. Here is our like summary of our 2021 plans. I forgot we even did this.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden nags Brett. I did have to do that.
Referred about rules for Brawl.
Yep. End of December, pick a charity thing. Cross post to our Facebook page. Yep. We never did this. We never did this one. We should do it. Yeah, we never went on any other podcast. We did. I guess we just forgot about it.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
We brought them on ours. That was fun.
Yes, we did. That was the first like 8 episodes of the year.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and now look at us, sad and tired. No motivation left.
Hey, I'm working on Fallen Corvus.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward, Fallen Corvus is going to come out for sure. We're going to start writing articles and stuff about lots of other games. We're going to have a new podcast launching soon, like next week, kind of soon.
League.
Yeah, we made it. Yep. Sorry. Tyson and I conspired to make invitational leagues for MCP, Warcaster, and Brawl Machine. So, yep.
Busy folk.
Yep.
Well done, everyone. We'll be making sure to get up information about like kind of what's going on starting out the new year, as well as the new podcast and stuff as soon as we know it, because we're procrastinating.
You weren't supposed to admit that publicly.
I don't have a PR manager. Nobody told me shit. It says basically the PR manager. Anyway.
PR's the PR.
Yeah, nobody can stop me. But yeah, in closing this out, thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us. Those of you who did come in and sit with us on Twitch for a while. We just thought it'd be kind of fun to have a kind of streamed thing. I do want to start doing more video content in general. I've started doing a few things, but I've got the ability to do more and more of that as time goes on, and when I start kind of keep adding on topics with that, especially when I'm able to branch out and do other games and stuff like that. I got a lot of stuff to talk about for all kinds of different games. So
we have some crazy ideas. Like Chandler and I want to start making modules for like a Patreon style thing, maybe.
Yeah, for like D&D or other things.
Yeah, and like just we're so fascinated by game design right now. Just talking about what we love about other games is something we're really looking forward to.
Yeah,
it's a dangerous direction though, guys. It's like
it's super dangerous.
So bad.
You want to know the most dangerous? I priced out A Song of Ice and Fire Army, and it's like $200.
Yeah, they're not bad.
It's like, God damn it!
You're like,
you have to get Conquest first, Brett.
Compared to that, like that's the thing. I priced out Conquest. It's like 3 times that. I'm like, this is basically free.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us for a while. In closing, Want to give a big thanks to everybody who supports us on Patreon. You guys are all absolutely amazing. If you want to check it out, it's patreon.com/LOS War Machine. You can see kind of all the stuff that we've got going on there. We essentially call it our tip jar. I also want to note, I think we talked about this before, but we're not going to be charging over the month of January.
That's right.
Because we are changing up our format quite a bit. We just want to make sure that people are cool with it, and it's not gonna surprise anybody, basically. Where you start getting charged for something that you're not actually interested in. So, but honestly, like, since we announced everything, we've had more people sign up for the Patreon. So, thanks, thanks a lot. You guys are amazing, and we appreciate that so much. It's a big part of what's kind of like kept us able to be as consistent as we are over the last 4 years.
We only missed like one or two episodes this year. It's bananas.
It's true.
Yeah. When did we? So you said we've been going for 5 years, right?
We started in 2017. We've been going for 4.5 years.
Oh wow. Okay. I thought we missed more episodes than that.
No,
we've missed like about 25-ish, I guess. Then.
Yeah, it's not too many. We had like a handful of months where we got like kind of bad about it, but shit happens. If you want to check out our website, it's loswarmachine.com. And if you go on
I
there,
can show that off now. Hold on a sec. I can make people look at it.
That's true. You can, if you go to any of our show notes on the website, you can get a link to our Discord, where we've got all of our stuff like our mentor channels, looking for game for war table games, brawl machine leagues, all kinds of stuff like that going on all the time. So go ahead and check that out. If you go to our Facebook, which is just a line of sight, it's a good way to kind of see everything that we post, including random pictures of stuff we're painting or things like that. Yep. All that good stuff. You can email us at loswarmahordes@gmail.com, and yeah,
yep,
you can message us if you want. I'll usually answer, probably.
It's true.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We will see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.